Hello and welcome to episode 135 of Masters of the Forge in our new format, the format being the old format. Yeah. Anyways, Adam and Jason here. Hi, Jason.
Yo, Adam. Hello, everyone.
So.
A needle pulling thread?
It's possible, and like la, a note to follow. So, tea, a drink with jam and bread. You may in fact hear the trilling of the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse in the background. So that might happen throughout the episode, which is fine. That's fine. I think we all understand that these are things that happen sometimes with podcasting.
Yes. And that's fine. That's fairly easy to remove, I think. I don't know.
Or not. Or just make people listen to it. You know, sometimes you got to go to the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse because you can come inside. It's fun inside.
Okay.
Hashtag Slanesh. Anyways, it's only been about a week since we last chatted, but we do have some hobby progress to, it looks like somebody came in your house and just exploded hobby progress all over your face.
I don't even know where to go. Yeah, I'm going to leave. I'm not even going to touch that. Hashtag Slanesh. Yeah. So actually, since we have like the notes, we have the new format. We're actually putting notes up a lot sooner. I'm actually able to remember what I've done. That's the issue. But so I was digging through some stuff, thinking about this Thousand Suns list, and did someone give me cultists? Because I have a lot more cultists than I remember buying. Because I have I think I have like 20 something, which for cultists really isn't that much, but yeah, whatever. And I was thinking about running them just to kind of counteract the rubric tax, the Scarab Occult Terminator's tax, just because, one, they're expensive, but two, also in the lore, Armin has most rubrics and Scarab Occult, and I don't want to run a whole lot of them just because of that. Okay. That's just kind of it. I've been thinking about the list literally all week. Well, maybe not all week, but that's what I've been thinking of for my hobby. So let's see. Continued working on the sorcerers. They're beyond 3 color minimum.
Cool. They look really nice, dude.
Thanks.
I really like the way that you're doing those, and that's going to be a really sweet formation going forward.
Yeah, I've got more and more ideas about how I want to run it. I mean, it's based off of the Wrath of Magnus book, which I found that book yesterday. I hadn't seen it since I'd moved, and I knew I had it, and actually at one point I was thinking, because I didn't see it in my stuff, maybe I dreamt the entire 2-book set, but I was like, no, because I remember, doing the notes on that in my office. So anyway, I'm going to add some greens and blue accents to give the sorcerers a little bit more going, since they're basically red. The Changeling. So I got the model a while back, and I had kind of done some color blocking on the airbrushing, and the problem with that is I forgot what I did. Like, I think I just zenithalled it and hit it with some inks, but I don't know. So anyway, I'm working on details for it, but it's kind of cool. I found that I'd actually gone in there and blown in a green glow from where the face is. So I was actually pretty happy that I had, had an idea. Whatever. I ordered both the 40k Demons Codex and the Tzeentch Codex for AOS because... Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to run that many demons, I might as well have them. And I can run something in both systems. I also picked up the Warcry cards for demons. We have a Warcry community, kind of. I mean, not... Well, yeah.
Well, what you're saying is we have to start another podcast called The Forgers of the Souls? Soul Forgers? The Soul Forge?
No. I'm a one podcast kind of guy. I'm not going to go through and...
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. neither one of us want to play that whole, hey, let's go deal with Libsyn. Hey, let's go deal with Apple iTunes again. Yay. All right. I'm still reworking my sorcerer's list. I'm definitely taking 3 on disc, but I don't know. I got to figure out how to run rules with the narrative I want. So I don't know. I really want to take the Mutalith Vortex Beast, which means I have to have a Thousand Suns formation beyond the Supreme Detachment. Yeah, so it's I don't know. I get kind of that list. That unit is only in the Thousand Suns book. So let's see what else. Hey, I picked up the Aether War box, the Dwarves versus Tzeentch.
Heck yeah!
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm splitting it with my buddy Keith. Hi, Keith. I'm seriously, though, considering using the Discs of Tzeentch, because there's 7 in there, to kit the 6 more Exalted Sorcerers so I can create the 9 Exalted Sorcerer list. And for those of you who are hyperventilating, please stop. It's for APOC only, I'm not taking 9 Exalted Sorcerers to a 40k game, because...
You could probably magnetize them.
Yeah. Oh, to the discs? Yeah. It
wouldn't be hard.
No, I guess I could do that.
Then you could use them for AOS and 40k.
That's possible. I don't know. I gotta think. That's going to be a lot of work on getting those magnets to work just right. And I'm not that great. But you know what?
It's not that hard. You know, I just finished magnetizing a bunch of Caradron Overlords.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad I did.
Okay.
You know, at the end of the day, it's like one night of work.
Yeah.
And it's well worth it. Especially if it's going to save you that much money.
That's true. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. It has
just glue the magnet to the inside of the disc before you glue it together. Like a really nice heavy duty magnet.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about where to drill or anything. You just glue it to the inside and put some green stuff around it to really anchor it in.
Yeah.
And then all you have to do is add a magnet to the bottom of the foot of each of your models.
Oh, okay. That is a possibility. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, think about it.
I've got magnets here somewhere. Hell, I don't know. My apartment's kind of chaos at all times. All right. So today I'm going to start painting some bases for the Thousand Suns. I have what am I doing with them? Do you remember I think I told you I had the green stuff roller.
Yep.
Well, it's the Egyptian one. And I was talking with, this is almost a year ago. I was talking to Justin from It Will Not Die, our buddy Gigantor. And also with Jordan, I think you talked to him also. Where, if you're going to go do Sculpey, you need to go through and make layers. And you need to make sure and bake it a little bit longer to make it more brittle. So I've got these, Egyptian hieroglyphic runes, and I've glued them on there. I just need to go paint them. But it's pretty cool. I like it. I'm not sure how much hobby time I'll have this next week or two, just because I'm going to San Antonio in like a week, I think. So
fun. Business or pleasure?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. No, it's a convention, but it's a convention that I go to every year, and I never go to any of the meetings. Is that it? The presentations? I just go and schmooze. So
and drink?
Sometimes. It depends. Depends if I have to drive. Yeah. Do I drive anywhere? Yeah. Let's not drink. So, but yeah, that should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. But I don't know how much hobby I'll have next time. But hopefully I'll have these bases done this afternoon. Nice. So, what about you, man? I see you've got some stuff going on.
Yeah, I got some things. I had to reorganize the game room.
Yeah.
Because I still had all the terrain and stuff from Golden Sprue Cup sitting in totes and stuff. And you can't really just leave all that stuff out in the freezing weather. So my buddy helped me bring it all in and get it back on the shelves. So it looks like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in my game room again. So that's really nice.
That's cool.
We'll talk more about that later. I've got the Caradron Infantry and Endless Spell painted. So it was kind of a challenge to get it looking like the stuff I had done previously. Mm-hmm. But it all worked out in the end. It looks pretty good. The endless spell is super sweet. So like I said before, the ether chemist can have a spell in a bottle. So he just he uncorks the bottle and the spell pops out.
Yeah.
So it's soul snare shackles.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The idea is that it slows the enemy down and does damage to it as they walk past. So I've got I took some of the engines, which are the little balloons that are on the backs of the Overlord's flying guys.
Okay.
And I glued those to, I kind of like cut off the shackles on a few and I put those on the ends so they look like Caradron Overlord's little machines.
Oh, nice.
So I really am pleased with those, really happy with those. Last night I was rooting around. Well, actually, a few nights ago, I was rooting around for some of my Battlefleet Gothic stuff.
Right.
And I found a tree man that my buddy was collecting wood elves.
Yeah.
And all of his stuff that he's left here, and I've put on the side of the door for him to take many, many times. This all belongs to me by common law now. So I took that for real.
Yeah.
So I took that treeman and I kit bashed him a little bit. I put him on a 32 millimeter base. I took my shirt and kind of wrapped his leg around my shirt, and I took a 2 pairs of pliers and I bent his leg back slightly to make it look like he was running forward.
Oh, okay.
It was tough. It's a big, thick piece of Relidium, you know. So, Wendy just brought me some coffee.
Oh, nice.
Coffee.
Awesome.
So hot. Anyways, he was missing some of his branches.
Right.
So I took some branches I have some of the plastic trees, like the Woodland Scenics plastic trees left over from the Jeff project.
Yeah.
So I cut some branches off of that and glued those on. I also took some green stuff and I just kind of started applying some green stuff to his torso and upper arms to make a football jersey. And I sculpted, I just took my knife and I kind of sculpted some fringe on the sleeves and on the bottom of the shirt. So just to kind of make it look more like a shirt. And I gave him a pair of shoulder pads. I don't know if you can think the forearms, like you're painting one right now of the Forge Fiend model.
Yeah.
So it's got like these spiky like elbows,
right?
Spiky elbow pads. So I took those and I trimmed off like the long piece that goes down the forearm. So it just has the elbow pads, and I glued those to his shoulders as spiky shoulder pads. I hung some stuff from the tree limbs. So like there's like a chain hanging off and there's like some severed heads or whatever. And the halfling kits, the halfling players come with, there's a special head for that where the guy has a squirrel on top of his head and the squirrel's about to throw a nut at an enemy or at an enemy player. So I glued that. I kind of shaved off the features of the guy's face. Yeah. And I glued that to the top of the treeman's head. So the treeman has a squirrel on his head. So that is my tree man player. The tree man basically throws halflings around the battlefield or around the pitch. He picks up halflings and throws them.
Oh,
so
that's ridiculous.
the halfling picks up the ball.
Yeah.
And then the tree man picks up the halfling and throws the halfling. I think that's how that works.
Yeah,
I think it's the only way that halflings can score, really. So
I hope so, just because I don't know. I'm not even gonna start my commentary.
There is a Treeman star player that you can get from Forge World, but you can't get an actual Treeman from Games Workshop Prime. So
interesting.
Yeah, hold on, coffee. Delightful. So yeah, like I said, I started pulling out some Battlefleet Gothic stuff because Brian's a jerk and he was like trying to get me to. People on the internet are in general jerks because I was like, lovely Gothic. We were having a discussion. I'm like, if only.
Nope.
So I pulled it all out and I'm looking at it. And a lot of the posts, so the thing with those posts is they go into metal models, and metal models have a way of destroying plastic posts, like flight stands. So over the years, since it's a metal model and a plastic post, you can just take a lighter and burn the end of the post and smush it into the hole over and over and over again until you have almost no post left.
Yeah, that's that.
And there's no carcinogens involved there. It's totally fine.
I'm sure it's fine. We're fine. How are you?
Yeah, I was looking around Speepy, I think he was on the old Independent Characters forums, or no, on the old Freebooter forums. He used to make aluminum posts for your flight stands.
Oh, that's cool.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
Couldn't find him anywhere. He probably doesn't do it anymore. Someone suggested bike wheel spokes, bicycle spokes.
Okay. Yeah.
I ordered some of those from Amazon, and we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try it out on some of these Brute Ram ships.
Yeah.
I'll have to drill in and everything like that, but we'll see. It's not a thing that you can, I don't think you can like just take them on and off. I think you're basically committing to the fact that it's going to be epoxied into the model. Yeah. But it's kind of whatever at this point when it comes to the BFG stuff.
Yeah, the thing is that if GW re-releases BFG, it'll be all new model scales. So
yeah, and if it's all plastic, I'll just buy new models anyways. Yeah. And I guess the last kind of thing is that the Warhammer store opened yesterday.
Cool.
In Clifton Park. We went there. It's very much like the one in Austin.
Yeah.
It's your basic kind of strip mall store where it's very deep. It's much deeper than it is wide.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of a long galley style shop with the product on the walls, two tables for playing in the center, and also a place for hobby. Which would be, I think that'll be nice. It would be nice to have it nearby. A place I can get paints. I did bring like 5 empty paints with me to remember to buy some. But the line, even 2 hours after it was open,
the line was crazy.
The line was way too long. So I'll just go back sometime this week.
Well, that's what was interesting about Albany was there was not a Warhammer store, but there was so much Warhammer happening, and I never could figure that out because we had a store in Denton, which it's the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so there were a lot of people there, but I just never could figure out why there wasn't one in Albany. Like it blew my mind the entire time I was there.
Yeah, there's a lot of there is a lot of competition, but at the same time, I think it'll do well.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people there, and I'm like, where are you people when we hold an event?
Right.
Like, for real.
Yeah, that's something that I had noticed, whenever I was living up in Albany, is that I'd show up to some of the other stores besides Flipside, and there'd be an entire group of people that I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And I'd only see them either at their store or at that store. And there's even a guy who was outside of Albany, just west. I can't remember which town it was, who was a kind of a huge 30K Death Guard modeler, and I had never met him the entire time we were there. I think Phil knew him, but I mentioned to Phil one time, he's like, I think I know who that is. So
yeah,
it was really always odd to me that there wasn't a Warhammer store there. Just never. I just never could get my head around it. So, but anyway, so you want to head on to games played, or you got any more hobby?
Sure, games played.
All right, so we were wanting to go through and do some games. Hopefully, maybe working with the stuff we're kind of looking at. And so I did a kill team game. It's easy for me to get kill team games in. 40K games are not as easy just because a lot of people don't have large armies down here. So I played against the Gellerpox from the Rogue Trader box. So it's Thousand Suns versus Gellerpox.
Those are fun models.
Yeah, they are. They're really kind of disgusting. I mean, you look at them and it's like, yeah, those are Nurgle, but they're not Death Guard. So I don't know. They're pretty awesome. What we did was a Finding the Relic scenario from the Rogue Trader book. So I have the book somewhere. Ramos had it, so we went off of his book. But it took place in a temple of some sort. It was basically find a relic or, grab. It was a relic scenario. Mm-hmm. It took place in some sort of temple, and my narrative was the Thousand Suns are trying to out-Trazen the Blood Ravens and are looking for a relic because why not? They stumble upon the Gellerpox while there, and they are run off. It's a really good game. I took an Exalted Sorcerer on a disc as my commander, so we were trying out commanders. Rubric Gunner, Aspiring Sorcerer, and some other rubrics. Because it was in this temple, it was super close quarters, and I had almost no open lanes of fire or places where I could, smite or do anything, to be honest. So it was a pretty good, setting for the Gellerpox. It was a fun game too. I mean, it was nice to run the Thousand Suns. I do like the way they play.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that sounds like fun. Yeah, and I think Kill Team is a great opportunity for narrative games. Yeah, I had a game with Connor. It's been a while since I played a game with Connor. He's been away. I think he got a girlfriend or something. So there's that. We played the Sky Strike scenario.
Yeah.
Which is in the Psychic Awakening with the Eldar in it. Mm-hmm. The first one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's the one where you're playing on the top of like a tower. And they're 6 inches in is open air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be... Okay.
Yeah, and there's like wind blowing, and it could knock you off. If a vehicle explodes, it can knock you off. It's super cool. The one thing about that scenario is that so the attacker can put things in reserve, and they have ongoing reserves. They can like keep bringing stuff back on.
Yeah.
But that rule says you can deploy them within 6 inches of the battlefield edge.
Oh.
So if you're on foot, you fall to your death. So Connor and I played it as if they were on foot, we just put them at the very edge of that 6 inches and say that they're climbing up the side.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
They fall to their death. That's so wrong and yet so
I know,
funny.
But it's like true. Like I don't think they figured that out. I was really intrigued by the Cabal of the Dying Sun from the they don't have official traits.
Oh, okay.
They're the ones that are all Trueborn Drukhari.
Yeah.
And they're very elitist of other Drukhari that are Vatborn or whatever. So I gave them the trait that makes all their poison weapons deal 2 damage on a 6. And because I guess in the old lore or in the old rules, the Trueborn had really good gear. And also disdain for lesser beings, which is the one where if you fail morale, you only lose 1 model instead of however many models.
Oh, okay.
If you fail morale. So, because they're like, we're better than you. Why should we be afraid of you?
That's right.
Why would we run away? So I chose I chose a similar one for the witches. I forget the name of the faction, but they have the same leadership ability.
Okay.
And they're also +1 strength.
Oh, okay.
So they're pretty cool. So anyways,
that is good,
I stopped at Michael's on my way in, and I picked up a giant bag of batting.
Yeah.
To use for clouds.
That is cool.
When I got there, I put clouds all the way around, and I set up the towers and stuff. And I think Connor enjoyed that. That was really fun. It was cool because when I set up all my models, like they were in Raiders and Venoms and stuff, and also the jet bikes and the Scourges, they're flying.
Yeah. When
they were set up in the clouds and stuff, it was so cool. It was really cool to see them all set up in the clouds and whatever, and coming over to head towards his Death Guard, who he had set up. So this is that mission. We talked about it in that game, or in the episode.
Yeah.
Where there's a turret on each corner, an anti-aircraft gun.
Right.
And it's got the character rule. So you could put your models all around it, and you have to kill all those models before you can shoot the turret. It's a really good way to do it. Yeah, every turn he would roll 3d6 for each gun.
Right.
And for every 4+ would represent anti-aircraft fire that was successfully connected.
Yeah.
And if he got up to 15 successes, he won the game.
Oh, okay.
So I flew around in a big circle and like took pot shots at his Death Guard, and I was making some really good work on them, but he had some really, really accurate anti-aircraft fire.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he was rolling those like a champ. So at the end of the day, like by the end of turn 2, even, well, it would have been at the end of turn 3, he had enough of my air assets shot down that he had the game won. So we're gonna say that I'm not going to be able to, if when we have our next game, I'm not going to be able to use any of my air assets, and we might even do a Zone Mortalis game for the next mission.
Yeah, that might be best.
Yeah, I think that works out. So again, this just stresses the fact that when you're doing narrative games, winning or losing has less to do with your actual results and more to do with how it's going to frame the next game,
right?
And the next how it frames the narrative going forward. He said he had a nice time. We hadn't really done a lot of narrative play at the store previously,
right?
So I think he was pleasantly surprised at how that went.
Yeah,
and I had a great time. So it was fun as hell. I really enjoyed playing the Dark Eldar, the Drukhari.
Right.
I really like the narrative I'm picking for them, and I think we'll talk more about that narrative in a future episode. I think 137.
Okay.
So we'll go more into that. I think we were talking about doing your Thousand Sons army and my Drukhari army as kind of like how we're setting up the narrative for those armies.
Yeah.
As a thing, as a topic. So that should be fun.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to
that. John wants to meet to discuss Golden Sprue Cup 2021.
Uh-huh.
I'm basically handing over running of the matched play side of things to Andrew.
Okay.
Andrew wanted to run more tournaments and stuff, and right. I'm like, well, guess what? You can just do it. I gave him all the competitive terrain that I built this year and some of the stuff I built last year and said, have at it. But John wants to help, but still wants to help out.
Right.
And so, you never know who, if Andrew flakes, someone's going to have to do it. So
right.
I don't think he will. I think he'll be fine, but you never know. You want to have a good padding. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I've been meaning to take notes. I just haven't. But there's a lot to it. And also the terrain that I made, it would be a good idea for me to do that up maybe in AutoCAD or something, just so they know how to build it. Because everybody was really happy with that terrain. It was very uniform and very...
it was all MDF, right?
Yeah, it was all MDF, but we painted it, we textured it, and everything, so it actually looks nice,
right?
Which is really important.
That is. I mean, you can't come in with horrible terrain. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a good middle ground, right? It's competitive terrain, but at least it does look pretty good. It could be better. I think it could be better. It would be really nice if we could put some posters, like some wanted posters or some propaganda posters on them or something like that. Something fun like that would be really cool. It would be even cooler to do some advertisement or something on there. You could on those big ones. Honestly, I could print out like a small version of the menu for lunch and breakfast and have it on and that would work.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So next
Zodabix.
Zodabix.
Yeah.
Next week I want to next episode I want to do some narrative. I want to do at least one test game for the scenario and some of the special rules we're thinking up for that episode. Okay. So Tomorrow I have a competitive game lined up because this poor guy, he hadn't had enough. Like, he was asking for somebody to play with him last week. Nobody wanted to play a competitive game. So this week I'm going to try out. He wants to do like a 1,500 point. Like, he wants to try a new format, like for matched play. So I'm very interested to see what he has in mind. So give it a shot, help him play test it. But the week after that, I definitely want to do at least some practice games with the rules we're going to be talking about in that episode.
Well, I'm hoping to get a 40k game in this next week. I mean, tomorrow will be Kill Team, definitely, but I'll see if I can convince someone to play a game on Thursday or something.
That would be nice. That'd be cool. And we can still, we can make use of Tabletop Simulator at some point. Did you get it? You say you got a new computer?
No. Upgrade. Okay. I basically did a big upgrade on my main machine, but Tabletop Simulator is not working on my main machine, so I'm a little annoyed.
Okay. All right, so we won't do that, but in the future.
Yeah.
So Jason, take me by the hand. Take me by the hand and lead me beyond the fringe.
All right, so I guess for everyone who's what's this again? This is where we talk about our non-hobby, non-40k, non-Games Workshop favorite things. Mine. This is actually a repeat. Because the Waves X noise reduction plugin, you complete me.
Literally.
Yeah. I will be real honest. If the people who run Waves want me to endorse, you can find me. Find me mastersoftheforge@gmail.com. Instagram. # Masters of the Forge.
He will buy you a beer.
I mean, it's great stuff. I mean, a lot of times whenever we're recording, what creeps in is essentially white noise, and then whenever I work with the recordings, the white noise is turned into pink noise. I'm not even going to go into all that discussion because, and this one plugin pulls that out just immediately. It's like looking specifically for those frequencies and that sort of mess. So, yeah. All right, what about you, man?
Are you talking about how, like, when you pull out the white noise, it subtracts from the main audio or whatever?
Yeah. Well, what happens is whenever... Oh, boy, I'm getting into the weeds. I apologize.
No, that's fine. That's what this is for.
When I run the compressor, I go through and pull 15 kilohertz and above. I use a brick wall filter, and then I also pull 90 hertz and below, because I don't think either one of us has. I mean, when Brian's on, I have to watch that one, but we're okay. And so then through the normalization and through compression, then the pink noise creeps in. I mean, it would typically be white noise, but because I've done that removal of those frequencies, so the pink noise removal function is perfect. Yeah, at times, like, there's some frequencies it removes from us. But I'll be honest, it's no worse than speaking through a telephone. So
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, you complete me.
Yeah, welcome to, like, one of my classes, man. I think I actually had this discussion, like, 2 weeks ago about the difference between white noise and pink noise. It was... I'm pretty sure my students went to sleep about halfway through. So, yeah. But you're beyond the fringe. I'm super jealous, which means I've hit a certain age. All right, hit it, man.
So for Christmas, people gave us some money to get us so that we could get what we needed. With the baby and everything, who knows what a parent might need. So with the use of that money and with Wendy's expert bargain hunting skills, we have purchased what is normally a $450 vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
It is the Dyson Ball Animal 2 vacuum.
Yeah.
And it is an amazing machine.
Yeah.
It fills with dirt so fast. Well, here's the thing about it. So every single vacuum I've ever owned, for some reason, I think it might be a cost thing, just because it's cheaper to do it this way, or it's a because they want it to have feature. Anyways, I'll just say all the dirt goes through the hose.
Right.
It goes into the vacuum, goes through the long hose, and then into the canister or bag or what. Well, usually these days it's only canisters. And so instead of having an alternative method of pulling the dirt in, I guess that's where the cheaper comes through. Like, you only have to design one way for the dirt to go through.
Right.
Where the ball, if your vacuum is down for floor vacuuming, for through the main head, it goes straight into the canister.
Yeah.
If it's up, it changes pathways and goes through the hose. So the hose is separate from the hose. The hose intake is totally separate from the floor agitator intake. So because of that, hair does not get stuck in the intake. It doesn't get stuck there, and it's the suction is so insane. It's so insane that even if it did go through the hose, I don't think it would matter. To be perfectly honest, I don't think anything would get stuck in there, because it is so, like, the layer of just dirt that was at the bottom of this was insane.
Right.
So this is going to be great, because the hobby room is right next to Quinn's room, and little pieces of things get in the floor.
Right.
And it's gross, and dog hair. He picks up dog hair and he's like, this is delicious. So the wand on this thing is so strong that I can just take the wand at the end of the hose and just put it behind furniture. It just sucks up hair that's stuck there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when your entertainment system has all sorts of wires and stuff, the dog hair gets intertwined with all of that, and it's impossible to get with a broom. And the vacuum cleaner just sucks it right out.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. I'm a little more jealous now. I'm gonna go even further. The suction is so much that I think that the attachment, there's an agitator attachment that goes at the end of the wand. Right.
There's no machinery that's included in that. There's no belt or anything that goes down the hose, but even so, the brushes on that little attachment actually spin when you put them on the end of the hose. And it doesn't do it until you touch the floor with it, or you touch the upholstery with it. I think what's happened, I think there's a corkscrew. I think there's a little corkscrew in that attachment that when the air gets pulled in with that vacuum force, it spins. It catches like a windmill, like a corkscrew, more like those devices that you put in the water and it generates electricity.
Oh, okay.
You put it in running water, or the ones that work on tidal force people generate electricity through in the tides of the ocean. Mm-hmm. So anyways, long story short, this thing's freaking rad. And we didn't really actually pay much for it because it was a gift, using money we got as a gift, and Wendy got a pretty good bargain. They must be coming out with a new one soon or something, but it doesn't matter. I love this thing. Other people have said that the Dysons, they don't support third-party repair people.
Right.
I have literally never brought an appliance to a repair person in my entire life.
Yeah.
Never. I think once when I was a kid, I tried bringing a television to be repaired.
Right.
Because I thought that's what you did. And when he was like, repairing this would cost as much as a new television. I'm like, okay. So I have literally never in my life brought any, but this was expensive enough where I might do that. So we'll see.
Well, my grandfather used to repair televisions, so I remember when he used to do that. But that was back in the day when vacuum tubes were in them. And they were, right, seriously, they were seriously old televisions, and he shut it down. I don't know when he shut it down, probably early 80s.
Yeah, so, at some point it just gets cheaper to just buy a new one. But in this case, I'm so happy with it. Yeah. I'm really glad. Anyways, I've waxed lyrical about this thing long enough. I think we can go ahead and take a break. Oh, no, not a break. We're doing our astropathic we need to get a sound effect for this. Like a beeping or something. Actually, we need a sound effect for Beyond the Fringe too that makes a whoosh noise, like whoosh, Beyond the Fringe. And then the astropathic communique is like astropathic communique.
I'll take that under consideration.
That sounds like a go fuck yourself. Sounds like you just told me to go fuck myself.
As per our previous email.
Yeah.
All right, let's run.
It's like if I'm in a meeting at work and a customer asks something. Well, an agency is like, oh, what do we do with this? And I'm like, oh yeah, we do this. And the manager's like, what Adam meant to say was, when I say something I shouldn't say.
Oh, I'm sure my boss has that for me as well. In fact, I know he does. And then he stares at me like, don't say that again, otherwise we'll be in real trouble. All right. Anyway, astropathic communique. So we're going to do a quick rundown of some of the stuff that they've given us, the GW's given us. I was given the new campaign book. Where's the campaign book? This is great radio. Where did I put it? There we go. The Ritual of the Damned. Pretty nice little book here. I'll talk about some lore that's in there. It's a campaign book. There's a ton of lore, and we're trying to keep this down to
5 minutes.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, here we go. So, basically we had stuff on Thousand Suns, Grey Knights, and the Dark Angels. For the Thousand Suns, Great Rift has given Magnus more followers, hosts, etc., and he has been busy finding lore. And I quote, lore forbidden, hidden, and suppressed, a terrifying amount of which lay practically unguarded amidst the mayhem and disorder that beset much of the galaxy, end quote.
Wait, so he's got more, they found more Rubric Marines, or they're talking about Zangor and stuff?
Everything. Basically, nice. Humans are now have more psychic potential, and he's reaching out to them through the Imperial, he's reaching out to them saying, come to me.
Okay.
It's some pretty cool stuff there. Mini Wargaming Dave has a video on this where he talks to Defi the Defiler.
Yes.
And was talking to a mini of Magnus at the same time. It was really funny. The thing is, I didn't watch it till after I had written this. So if you're wanting more in depth, go look at Dave talking to Defi and Maggie. Because really, he did a really great job. He goes a little bit more into detail on certain things that I don't. Let's see. So Maggie's returned to Prospero, which is now, and he's brought the Planet of the Sorcerers into the same system. So both the Planet of the Sorcerers and Prospero are in the exact same system. He's rebuilding Prospero, restoring it to levels beyond its former glories. Somehow he's scoured this barren world, and rediscovered relics and hidden caches of texts, and is rebuilding the libraries and towers of old. Let's see. Maggie is totally cool with the Cicatrix Maledictum, as it is allowing humanity to reach its untapped psychic potential.
Which is what he always wanted.
Yeah, anyways. Exactly. And that they even talk about that in the book. It's like, this is what he wanted since the Great Crusade, and here we are.
And he's getting it, yep.
Yeah. There is a lot of lore about Prospero in this book. I will be honest, we could easily devote an episode, or at least a large segment, to Prospero alone.
Well, that sounds fun. Yeah, that'd be a fun episode.
I mean, it's like 3 or 4 pages, but still,
well, there's other lore out there, and you know a lot of it, so...
I'm full of it. Yeah, that's true. There's also a really nice amount of lore devoted just to the security of, like, New Prospero, or how they're rebuilding it. Basically, it's you either have to be invited, or you have to be strong enough to force your way onto Prospero. And just because you're invited is not a good idea. It's probably a terrible idea. Let's see. Grey Knights. Grey Knights, the lore for this guys the changes was quite interesting. The halls of Titan are sparse, dusty, and thinly populated. The Grey Knights have spent their entire existence fighting demons, and they are currently not in Titan, essentially, because there's a
lot to do.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. There's some really cool quotes out there. Never has Titan been so empty. Almost all Grey Knights are dispatched on campaign without thought of recruitment, recovery, or rearmament. Nice little quote here that I really liked. The cavernous halls and long corridors of the chapter's fortress monastery were as silent as the grave. Training weapons gathered dust on racks, untouched for months or even years. Maintenance chambers were almost entirely dormant, end quote. Just really, it gives this kind of vision of they're not there. But the Chamber of Trials, which is the home of their training and recruitment, is busy. There are now more neophytes than ever because of the increase in emergent psychic abilities, and the Grey Knights are taking advantage of this. So I'm curious.
So a lot of parallels with the Thousand Suns, then.
Exactly. And I'm. This is not lore, but I mean, I'm wondering if when Grey Knights might be getting an update to their codex. I realize they have an 8th edition codex. I know, but.
And with this book, I think they're trying to use these books for that instead of releasing a bunch of new codexes.
Yeah.
Space Marines kind of needed it because they had a lot of new units.
Oh, yeah. I actually do talk a little bit about that more farther down my review. The Dark Angels, The Rock, the most electrifying wrestler on television, is in the Imperium Nihilus, fighting war after war. Rock is still tainted by a demonic presence, probably due to the presence of the Changeling during the Rise of the Primarch.
Yep.
This was interesting, and maybe this was in the Rise of the Primarch. I need to go back and reread. Hundreds of Dark Angels and their successor chapters were slain by traitors in the Darkmoor Massacre.
Oh.
Which was interesting. I think that might have been in the Rise.
Maybe that new Black Library book?
Maybe. I have not read that one. I think it's one from Phil Kelly,
let's flag that one for future reference.
Okay. The Dark Angels are... This is really cool, because they don't always talk about what happens to the librarians and whatnot. But the Dark Angel librarians are pained/maimed, killed by visions. I mean, there's some really interesting, like, a few sentences. In Ezekiel, the Grand Master Librarians of the Dark Angels sees the progress of the psychic development across the galaxy. He's kind of he's not the canary in the coal mine, but he knows, he's keeping an eye on that. So, real quick, there are some great stuff in there. If you're running Thousand Suns, Dark Angels, Grey Knights, find someone to run this campaign with you. There's some awesome stuff. There's 2 Theater of Wars, which basically is environmental effects. So there's 2 of them. The Demon World, which has Nightmarish Landscape, which is -1 to leadership, which, that's not too bad. It's not going to do anything to your Marines, but it would be a difficulty for anything else that's on the table. Demon World. This is really cool. I didn't go through and list the results and whatnot, but there's an environmental rule set, and you roll 1 to 6. 1, no result. 6 is 2 rolls on the table, ignoring 1 or 6. Just some really cool stuff happening there. And then there's
it's like the similar to like the like the psychic backlash thing that we had in the last edition.
Exactly.
Except really there's a lot less on the table. It's not a D66 table. It's a lot more reasonable.
Yeah, it's not so crazy. The next one actually reminded me of something that you had done called Panes of Glass. And one of the rules is landscape and flux. And so you have terrain features that move. You know, if you're not on them, if they're like not contested, you're not on them or whatever, then they can move depending on, I think it's a role of a controlling character. And it reminded me of your black hole gravity well scenario that you did with Darwin and I don't remember the guy's name.
It's okay.
It was probably a Mike. He had Necrons, so. It was someone I didn't know very well.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that was a lot of fun where he was doing the shifting landscape.
Yeah. So that's really similar. It had some stratagems. I didn't write them down. And
that's okay.
There's an Echoes of War scenario, which is kind of cool because it's like a disruptive ritual, and you must have Magnus. Oh. And Magnus can only stay, I think, within 3 inches of the objective. And it's a center objective. So, you know... Maggie's not going to be an assault machine. You could probably shoot him if you.
So that's fun. Yeah. That might be a fun one. You could probably easily adjust it for whatever kind of character you want, though.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Not lore. All right. So each one of the armies does have like an entry. The Dark Angels finally get the Phobos Primaris. And cool. A few other fun things that the generic Space Marines have. Basically, I think this is the Codex supplement for the Dark Angels. So if you're a DA player, this is what you need to get. Grey Knights have some updates and an updated chaplain, but they really don't have a whole lot. Thousand Suns, you have the cults, and you have some rules updates, but I think the rules updates are all in chapter approved. So really, I think the cults are the only new thing. And the last thing, and then we'll get on to the sisters. And I mentioned this before. Mini Wargaming does a Thousand Suns video where Dave is literally talking to Defi the Defiler and also to Magnus. It is lovingly ridiculous.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I listened to it. I watched it. I was like, this is so funny, and I cannot tell anybody but my nerd friends. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Thanks for that rundown. That's actually super helpful. And we got 2 ideas for future episodes out of it.
Yeah.
So cool.
Woohoo!
So the Sisters of Battle, I'm just going to kind of go over the recent lore.
Yeah.
I think everybody's kind of gone through, the rules and everything already. The book has actually been out for quite some time through the starter box. So many of the orders obviously have been divided by the Cicatrix Maledictum. But the Sisters are still prosecuting war throughout the galaxy in the name of the Emperor. Of course, they would prefer to fight heretics and traitors, but they'll also fight faithless jerks like the Xenos, and anybody who would even dare side with such, Guavesa. Those guys are going to get murderized just as quickly as, if not quicker than, the Tau themselves.
Yeah.
In recent years, there have been many kind of these ripostes aimed at Terra, kind of just testing. I think they're more testing Terra, testing the defensive capabilities of the Segmentum Solar. and a lot of the crusading orders, like the Ebon Chalice, they have stepped up to deflect them directly. The sisters have been kind of they've been suffering a lot of losses, which has put a lot of stress on the Schola Progenium to the limits of their ability to produce more recruits. Other orders which once garrisoned the worlds near the Rift, such as the Order of the Argent Shroud, were thought all but lost, but many legions of sisters still help hold the line and keep the faith in these horrible regions of the galaxy. Even though it's quite taxing, some of the orders, such as the Order of the Sacred Rose, are trapped behind the Rift, beyond the light of the Astronomicon, and it's up to them to kind of keep that light and to be a beacon of hope for those sectors of space. So kind of like the Spears of the Emperor, a lot of these groups have become bulwarks against chaos. These islands of order in the tides of chaos out there. As we've discussed before, miracles and other things are rampant throughout the Imperium right now because of this psychic awakening. And it's really interesting how that manifests. Like there's even ghosts and stuff. We talked about that from the last Psychic Awakening book with the Black Templars in it. Faith and Fury, I think it was. Very interesting how I think Faith and Fury ties into the sisters a bit, since there was a codex release like at exactly the same time, there really isn't a whole lot of sisters rules content, but they are directly involved with a lot going on in Faith and Fury. So if you're interested in the Sisters of Battle, I would definitely pick up Faith and Fury and read a lot of all the lore and stuff that came with that. So I also wanted to talk in this section about the new mini wargaming videos. What do you think? Have you've obviously been watching some of it. I've been watching some of it. I think for my part, I think it's great.
Yeah, I do too. It's interesting. You wrote down some things on there, and there was one thing that had been bothering me, and I think I figured out what the issue is now. They are having... Some of the hosts are having some sound issue problems, and I think I know the technical reason how to fix it, but I noticed it because I was having to basically getting back into the weeds. Sorry, I run 2 sets of speakers for my computer system, some larger 8-inch speakers and 2 near fields that are 5-inch speakers. And I was having to push the near fields up to max, past Unity. And so I didn't think much of it because I thought, well, maybe I just need to go through and work on my system. But then I listened to other stuff and I have to pull the mains down again, or the near fields at least. So I have a feeling that they're just not, someone's not compressing or something. I don't know.
Right.
I'm hoping that they'll get back to some more much more narrative stuff like some of the other things they've done in the past, and I think they're doing that. I think it's just
they know it's their meat and potatoes, and they have them in development, but since those already took longer than their other content, they're adding on like extra production value, so they're going to take even longer than they did before. So there's that. I do like that they do try to add kind of this little narrative piece at the beginning of each game. To even the matched play games that they have, they try to inject a little narrative reason for the battle to be happening, which is nice. The picture quality and the terrain is still amazing. So that's fine. I like that they pause to explain rules.
Definitely.
So they talk about like the when they talk about the faction that they choose, like they go into detail about the rules that are available for that faction. If they use a weird special rule during the game, they pause and they do like an interview style that like talk about, kind of like a reality show style, where, you know, those really my uncle was on one of those reality shows, and he's like, yeah, they give you a list of things to talk about that happened during those interviews. They always talk in the present tense, like, oh, I hope I can do this during this challenge.
Yeah.
They've already done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they're talking in the present tense. So they're clearly recording this after the fact, and they're just cutting it in.
That's a good idea.
For adding stuff that needs to be discussed and needs to be explained. And I think that's amazing. That's really good. I think that's really good. There's been a little bit less of it in recent games. So I hope they're not going back to the old, I hope they're not getting lazy and hoping to just get more shows in. I prefer this style. I prefer this new format. So I hope they keep on doing it. I appreciate it a lot. I think I'm getting more for even though there's less shows, I think I'm getting more for my money.
Well, the nice thing I've seen is that they've done a really good kind of discussion of the Thousand Sons.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went through and watched whenever they released the book, The Ritual of the Damned, and really have enjoyed it. Yeah. They've done some battle reports too, like the Defi the Defiler one, which that's going to be in my head forever now. Like at the end of that one, they then had a game with Dave, and I think it was Luca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is exactly what we want, and it's from a group of people who are pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot of the lore videos out there, like the YouTubers, are also human garbage.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard to listen to them and give them listens and give them clicks. So it's good to be with these, to hang and give these people our business, because they're doing a really good job, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from them. And yeah, like you, I am looking forward to a narrative campaign or whatever going forward. Oh, they're also doing what GW has been doing, and they're like, okay, this day is this thing, this day is this thing, this day. So they have a 40K day, they have an Age of Sigmar day, and they have a specialist or like an other games day.
Yeah.
So last week, the other games day was Battlefleet Gothic, which is kind of what set me down this spiral of getting out my old BFG stuff.
Right.
So it's cool. All right, that's kind of what I wanted to talk, and that's the kind of thing you can expect from the Astropathic Communique going forward.
Who knows? We might have sound effects in the future.
Who knows?
Anything is possible.
Okay. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about repentance in the lore of Warhammer 40,000. Stay tuned. We'd love it if you could give us a positive rating and review on iTunes.
If you'd like to keep in contact with us, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter by searching for Masters of the Forge. And you can follow our hobby progress on Instagram with the hashtag Masters of the Forge.
You can also contact us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or if you'd like to advertise your creative hobby endeavor. Thanks again for listening.
Come here, boy, get the ball. Come on, Max, get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotobix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, Zotobix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh, boy, I'd better feed Max his Zotobix.
Yes, you had.
Zotobix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins
No,
and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert depths.
Ah!
Zotobix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Well, don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 Hour a Night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke en bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer en bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said.
Hey mofos, are you looking for more Warhammer 40k video content? Well, the Scarred Cast posts regular battle reports as well as tactics and strategy videos. Be sure to check out all the cool hobby content for the avid tabletop wargamer. That's Scarred Cast, Skared on YouTube.
All right, welcome back. I want to start by talking about the role of repentance in actual history.
Okay.
Because I think it speaks to the reasons this kind of thing was added to the 40k background. Like the tapestry of 40k is very much inspired by history. A lot of the designers are history buffs.
Yes, they are.
Right?
Yeah.
If not card carrying history, card carrying, degree holding history people, you know?
Yeah.
So, in modern civilized society, repentance includes such lofty notions as expressing genuine shame for one's sins and a commitment to change one's ways for the better. The sinner might even offer restitution to those affected by the sinner's bad behavior. So, like, a lot of the time it's like written into law, right? Like, repentance is still, even though, you know, we technically don't have theocracy, morality and law go hand in hand, and it's usually, you know, decided on by the general consensus, but there's some kind of restitution is served a lot of the time. Yeah, that's what lawsuits are for. It's literally in religion, oftentimes one's honest repentance for their sins is required in order for them to be absolved in the eyes of their God. So God knows whether you repent or not. So you can pay lip service all you want. If you don't actually believe it, you're not going to be absolved. In the past, this really wasn't a thing. Like, they used to have indulgences where you could pay money for your to sin. You're like, I want to sin, so why don't I pay money to the church? But it's absolution, which is the goal of the faithful sinner. But of course, you know, some people who are less scrupulous can kind of worm their way into the good graces of their peers by winning absolution of just the people around them.
Yeah.
Who cares whether the deity actually, you know, absolves them or not? All that really matters is the people who are watching. In some religions, including Judaism and the Klingon cult of Kalis, the unabsolved sins of one's parents follow them, even when their parents have died. Children can then seek to win the absolution for themselves and perhaps the dishonored dead. This is something you could apply to your Warhammer lore for your factions and stuff if you wanted to. So, like, if you're a Sisters of Battle player, maybe, well, I mean, you've seen it before, right? Where some orders or some chapters of Space Marines carry on the sins of their previous chapter mates. So we saw that in Spears of the Emperor, right? Where the chapter that was trying to survive actually felt that it was their oh no, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of, sorry, not Spears of the Emperor, it's Call, the Great Work. I'm reading through that, and it is the Scythes of the Emperor.
Oh, okay.
Who are in that one, and they're trying to win absolution for their Primaris brothers so that they don't have to be shackled with the shame of their previous generation of Space Marines. So it's definitely something that that's a theme in 40K that you can make use of for your own lore.
Well, that and also the Dark Angels have the Unforgiven.
Yep.
Man, they've got a lot of that, actually. There's one successor chapter, the name escapes me, that actually does think that it's absolved. But I literally can't remember the name of the chapter. Right now, someone's yelling it. Like, literally at their car.
We can't hear you!
Sorry, I can't hear you. I apologize. Let's see.
How existential dread of you.
I know. Speaking of...
The universe can't hear you scream into the radio.
Well, speaking of existential dread, the Thousand Suns also have... Boom, that was good. They also have at least one war band of the Exiles who are trying to do something similar with Magnus. But I cannot remember which one. It might actually be the Crimson Suns, which I guess is who I'm painting up. I don't know. I just wanted to paint them red because they remind me of the 30K colors, not the other reason. Anyway, I'll keep going. So, as for flagellation, the practice is waxed and waned.
As for flagellation, I like it when a sentence starts that way.
Yeah, I know. It's, boy, that's an interesting term. And if we go any farther into that, I'm going to have to pull out the beep machine. So, the practice has waxed and waned.
Wait, the what machine?
The beep machine. The censoring machine.
Oh, beep! Oh, I thought you said beat machine. I'm like, you have teledildonics in your house?
Hold on.
That's weird, dude. Yeah, go ahead and Google that. I'll wait.
No,
teledildonics.
No, I'm not. I'm not even going to censor that. I'm just going to leave it. I probably should, but I'm going to leave that one way alone. Okay.
It's your Amazon history. Well, thank you.
Yeah, working in the fine arts, my Amazon history and the Wish stuff looks a little odd as it is. Okay.
We were talking about flagellation.
I know, and we have okay.
It was inevitable.
Yeah, I know. All right. So, I'm going to try this sentence one more time. Here we go. As for flagellation, the practice has waxed and waned over the years in many different religions. In the popular Holy Land religions, self-flagellation with whips, chains, swords, and the bride's bouquet is a means to remind even those without active sin of the pain endured by their saints for their benefit. Also, +1 to me for pulling in the Rocky Horror Picture Show comment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Flagellants were extreme religious demonstrators who would travel the land and flog each other to demonstrate the importance of repentance to the masses. Although one might conjure images of the Inquisitions enacted during the Middle Ages in matters of repentance, it is important to remember that the most extreme actions of these Inquisitions were not an effort to absolve those who had sinned. Corporal or capital punishment for heresy was, instead, meant as a means to inspire others to reject a life of sin, and of course keep tight control over the public and therefore political matters. One would not be remiss to draw many parallels in this topic with the MO of the ecclesiarchy.
Because, again, the people who designed this thing are super history buffs and definitely looking to draw parallels and have a level of social commentary, no matter how much you want them to not. In 40K, the Imperium's ecclesiarchy is more or less banned from amassing an armed force.
Yeah.
The likes of the Astra Militarum. It was fairly recently, during the Age of Apostasy, when it was deemed necessary to officially form the Adepta Sororitas, formed from an independent group of faithful known as the Daughters of the Emperor, to prosecute war in the name of the ecclesiarchy. Only thanks to the incredible reputation sowed by the Sororitas have they been allowed to continue to operate throughout the Imperium. Were the Ministorum to attempt to increase their military might beyond the Sororitas, at least in an official capacity, the High Lords of Terra and the Inquisition would certainly have something to say about that. Mm-hmm. What's more, this is the important part, the Sororitas themselves are not puppets of the ecclesiarchy. They would not balk at the need to eliminate even high-level agents of the Adeptus Ministorum if they broke from their own holy edicts. Mm-hmm. So, and that's how they were born. That's how the Sororitas were made. The Sororitas came to be because they rebelled at the end of the Age of Apostasy. They rebelled against the High Cleric, what's his name, and killed him because he was clearly not working in the best interests of the Emperor. The Sororitas are faithful to the Emperor. Yeah. They are not, quote unquote, faithful to the Ministorum.
Yeah. Well, I really kind of adore the wording that allows them to be used as a standing military. That no man may have a weapon, or the Ecclesia. Yeah. And that's literally is like, okay, fine, we'll do this instead. It's it's so delicious in we're gonna go by the letter of the law rather than the spirit of the law.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So still many millions of imperial citizens often find themselves whipped into a frenzy of exultant holy war against the foes of the emperor. Whoa. Wow. Okay. Ecclesiarchal preachers and higher officials are more than happy to direct these unruly mobs of faithful into the mouth of certain doom if it serves their purposes. Yay. These folks are often ragged and ill-equipped for battle since the ecclesiarchy is unable to invest in such mustering. What they lack in skill and equipment, they make up for in zealotry. Many of these individuals are convinced of their need to show the emperor they are deserving of his grace. In times of great peril, in the face of terrible horrors, it's easy for common citizens to believe they have wronged their god in some way and seek absolution through the flames of war. Others are those who have strayed from the light of the emperor, pressed into battle by their ecclesiarchal tormentors, desperate for the final release of death, the only possible end to their suffering.
So imagine, if you will, just giant mobs of faithful in rags, wielding las guns as bludgeons because they don't have any charge packs.
Yeah.
Faced off against giant mobs of Nurgle tainted poxwalkers also wielding las guns as bludgeons, and they're just, one side is fueled with the power of, with the faith in the Emperor, the other is fueled with the gifts of Nurgle, and they're just beating each other to death. It's fantastic.
There's this one band that I really like, and I've described them as what they lack in technique, they make up for in enthusiasm.
Yep, I've heard that phrase before.
It's I don't even want to name them just because I don't want anyone to think poorly of them.
Aw.
Well, it's the Royal They. How about that?
Okay.
I think they're out of Brooklyn. I don't remember, but yeah, but they lack in technical acumen. They more than make up for in just enthusiasm and just playing the hell out of their instruments. So, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about each kind of official unit,
right.
The lore of these kind of units that are used by the Imperium here. The first are the arcoflagellants. Mm-hmm. Arcoflagellation is an extreme form of punishment meted out by all sorts of faith criminals throughout the Imperium.
Yeah.
It is considered to be a fate worse than simple burning at the stake or crucifixion. So that's nice. The hapless sinner is roughly dismembered. Just think about that. Uh-huh. They probably just strap this person to a table and just saw their arms off, probably.
Yeah.
Or pulled off. They probably pull them off.
They probably don't want to pull the muscles out. So
no, probably not. You're probably right.
Yeah.
And then they're augmented with a terrifying array of cybernetics that leave them in a raw, dull agony. Their arms are replaced with long whip-like appendages, and their musculature is augmented for increased strength and bulk. Mm-hmm. Now, the important part comes next. It's less about those augmentations, but once they've been properly transformed, the arcoflagellant is capped with a cybernetic device called a pacifier helm. I think there's a KMFDM album that has, or is it a Ministry album that has something very much like this on it. which infiltrates deep into their central nervous system, blasting litanies and holy images into their consciousness. The pacifier helm ensures that the flagellant's handlers can cow them during transport. But in an instant, the flagellant they turn off that pacifier helm and they can be released upon the enemy with a single command word.
Yeah.
At that time, their minds are prodded towards their destiny by a cocktail of terrible chemical stimulants and archaic Imperium technology. So there are whispers of rare arcoflagellants called seraphs, who are these psychic blanks who are twisted into deadly killing machines, and they're usually assigned to the Inquisition. Since arcoflagellation is technically carried out by the Mechanicus, it's possible that the Ecclesiarchy has nothing to do with with those arcoflagellants, with those seraphs.
Right.
So no matter how long an arcoflagellant endures, they persist in agony and madness in perpetuity. Some persist to become what are referred to as endurance, who are ENDURANTS, whose berserk zealotry is even more animalistic than their lesser peers. They never recover their old selves. Their sentence is for life. So that's regardless of whether you're just a regular arcoflagellant or a endurant.
Yeah.
Still, the Ecclesiarchy considers it an act of sheer moral benevolence, or even like a gift, to allow the worst criminals in Imperial society to be allowed the opportunity at redemption through service. So this is a kindness that they're doing, giving them a chance to absolve themselves of their sins.
Oof. Just an extra note. They're really good in Kill Team. Along with the Sister Repentia, which you can only take one Kill Team, which I'm starting to learn Kill Team a lot better. All right. Anyways, next up, Sisters Repentia. The Sisters Repentia are bands of Adeptus Sororitas who have fallen from grace and seek to not only atone for their sins, but also absolution from the Emperor himself. The Repentia have not fallen to chaos, nor are they heretics of any sort. Rather, they are simply not following the strict tenets laid out by the Adeptus Sororitas, or at least they did not follow them. Their sin is they have been found wanting. Repentia do not have a common thread of origin. They can come from any order, even those not under the order's militant. The Repentia is not a mindless servitor or bound to an implement of torture. She is canny and able to seek a life beyond her absolution if she can claim it. Some sisters even wish to strengthen their faith by volunteering to become Repentia, citing some minor infraction as an excuse for induction. I think it's one of the Sisters of Battle books that James Swallow did. There actually is a character who in the second book I think becomes Repentia. All right, so as a Repentia, a sister is stripped of her standard weapons, armor, and other war gear. Instead, she is deployed into battle with a huge eviscerator, crumbling rags, and perhaps a collection of trinkets designed both to announce their absolute faith and to cause themselves no small measure of physical pain. Every Repentia is installed with the Order's militant and put through a course of mental reconditioning and physical hardship which owns the sisters, or with the sister, with the mental state necessary for their new role. Squads of Repentia are driven to the front lines of battle by the Repentia Superior. It is the job of the Repentia Superior to first and foremost remind the sisters of their personal sins and ensure the memories of how the sinners have fallen short of the Emperor's light are always fresh in their mind. In order to enhance her charge's memories and to drive home the seriousness of their crimes, the Superior is armed with a pair of neural whips which they employ against Repentia and enemy alike. That model looks super cool. So, the fate of the Repentia is not always redemption through total sacrifice. Some Repentia not only survive the ordeal, but also find the absolution they seek. Not the least of which was Celestine herself.
Yeah, she was a Repentia, and,
I did not know that.
It's funny how I really like the whole, some sisters are like, I'm going to be a Repentia to show how faithful I am. I want to cleanse myself of all the minor sins all the minor transgressions I've accumulated over the years. That's really cool. And yeah, these are fun models too. Yeah. I really like them. They're beautiful models. So Penitent Engines. Penitent Engines are seen less as weapons of war. They're not like tanks or dreadnoughts. They're just giant ambulatory, horrible torture devices that have guns strapped to them. If you've been lashed to a Penitent Engine, then your redemption is only in death. You're not coming back from being a Penitent Engine.
Right.
The devices are usually reserved for higher ranking members of the ecclesiarchy, such as priests or sisters of battle whose crimes are beyond mortal absolution. The sinner's body is forever tormented by synaptic amplifiers and chemical stimulation. They know nothing but the pain which fuels their machine. So the machine actually like runs on their psychic pain, which is interesting. And fire and promethium. Penitent Engines are deployed by the Order's militant as part of the main vanguard, where their final punishment can be witnessed by others who would share their fate if they were found guilty of similar sins. It's a good deterrent.
Yeah.
Flame belching from heavy flamers and spinning blades whirring, the Penitent Engine wades into the foe, cutting them down to chunks and burning them to ash. When they get into combat, when they're like face to face with the enemy, when they look into the eyes of the enemy, they see their own face rather than the face of the victim. So they're basically killing themselves. They go in and they kind of it's like they're executing themselves.
Right.
Which they do with glee. Like they want to do it. So but unfortunately, if they manage to actually survive the ordeal, they have to go in again and do it again.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very much. They usually are dead. But the good thing about the Penitent Engine is when the person dies, they have absolved themselves in the eyes of the Emperor.
Oh, I was going to say let's peel them out of the thing and then put in another one, but okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, usually it's the person who dies rather than the engine. So like, oh, we can use this again for the next person. Because they're kind of out there for anybody to shoot if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But they're also wired to this machine, so you'd have to get a good headshot in to kill them right off the bat.
Yeah. All right. Mortifiers. Actually, when you were talking about the whirring blades and the flames and cutting into cubes and whatnot, I was like, worst barbecue ever. So, the Mortifiers. The Mortifier is a torture device similar to the Penitent Engine, except that its purpose is not final absolution. Instead, the purpose is only punishment and set an example for others. The sisters bolted to a Mortifier were once Repentia who fled from battle, leaving their fellow sisters to fend for themselves. Wow. Okay. This sin is totally unforgivable. When the Mortifier wades into battle, the anguish of the sinner is translated to a fury of blows from its flails or buzzsaws. The device is much like the Penitent Engine, but the sister is unable to physically emote her anguish. Even her jaw is bolted shut so that she cannot scream. Instead, all of the pain is translated directly to the actions of her prison. When the sinner finally meets her end, her relief is thwarted by the machine, which reminds her that there will be no absolution in death, and her rage at this realization is transformed into a final bout of agonized death throes. Wow.
It's nice. It's
a kid's show, you know? Wow. Okay. The Anchorite is a special mortifier which is designed to sustain a sinner for as long as possible. The sister is locked in an armored sarcophagus which can survive beyond even the life of the machine it is grounded to. This particular fate is reserved for sisters of battle who have betrayed the sisterhood in some way. They are destined to fight battle after battle and endure righteous agony for every moment of their remaining lives. I gotta go look at that model. Wow.
Yeah, it's a sarcophagus on the front of a Penitent Engine, and it is, unlike the Penitent Engine where it's designed to eventually allow the person strapped to it to die.
Yeah.
This thing keeps the person alive even if the vehicle is destroyed or put out of action, that sarcophagus is probably going to hang around.
Yeah.
And you're just installed in yet another machine to do it all over again.
Wow.
That's rough.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking.
You basically become a dreadnought. You're a dreadnought that is designed to make you feel pain.
Yeah. I'm looking at the model on G-Dubs right now, and it looks exactly like a Dread. I mean, it looks like the Penitent Engine with the casket on the front. It's kind of amazing.
So, let's go into. I'll talk about the non-ecclesiarchy. So, first of all, servitors. There's really no being made into a servitor is less of a punishment. It's not really a punishment because you're basically lobotomized.
Right.
It's basically if you're sentenced to death, a lot of the time they'll be like, well, why waste this perfectly good body, and we'll just use it as a servitor instead. So like I feel, so it's not like they're actually cognizant of what's going on, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really wouldn't put that in this category, even though we kind of had it listed at first.
Yeah.
Penal legionnaires, on the other hand, they're not trying to really atone for sins, really. Mm. It's more of it's more of an agnostic kind of atonement.
Right.
And it's not even atonement, really. So let's describe it. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Penal legions are a different sort of absolution than one of religious matters. They're formed by the Adepto Militarum in an effort to create expendable forces for the Astra Militarum to use for suicide missions, at least at first, okay?
Yeah.
These are mixed units of men and women formed from the dregs of society, usually from penal worlds or the Imperium's equivalent of death row. Generally, those who serve in penal legions have committed some form of capital crime, but that in itself doesn't get you in a penal legion. You also have to have some kind of, at least the ability to hold a las gun and shoot it. Rather than waste these kinds of talents, the Imperium has offered these criminals the choice to serve the Imperium one more time as a form of secular absolution. I guess for some people it would also be a religious one, but a lot of these people probably don't care anyways. So they're probably not exactly the most faithful. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The Penal Legionnaires know that they are the most expendable among the Astra Militarum's fighting forces. So although many know their fate is sealed, it's possible that some think that they can either escape in the chaos of battle.
Right.
So they agree to do it. They're like, well, I'm going on a death mission, but maybe I can
skip out
during the battle. Or flip it and reverse it by proving their loyalty and usefulness through strength of arm. So maybe they can actually survive the encounter. Maybe they have the belief that they can actually do something, right?
Right.
Or just extend it long enough. Never underestimate the power of denial in the human mind. Like, oh, I can prolong my execution, or I can stay my execution a little bit longer. Okay. So either way, the Munitorum has seen fit to equip the Penal Legion with a number of quote unquote enhancements to ensure order is maintained and loyalty is secured. The most famous of these devices is the slave collar, which is fitted with explosives that they don't detonate outward. They detonate inward.
Yeah.
Executing the prisoner. So that's just, that's a deterrent from revolt, and a safety measure for higher officials.
Yes.
Some people think that all of them are equipped with these devices. It's not true. It's just, that's how the unit was presented in, I think, the 5th edition codex or the 4th edition codex.
Right.
Some legionnaires are fitted with devices similar to those applied to arcoflagellants, but on a smaller scale. So these men and women can be made to experience excruciating pain in order to keep them in line. Some can be pumped with addictive stimulants to enhance their abilities in combat and also keep them beholden to their oppressors. Both of these examples also have examples in Star Trek: The Next Generation. So there we go.
Yes, they do.
The pain. Actually, pain devices are repute through. That's like a trope that goes way back.
Oh yeah.
And the addictive chemicals. That's the Kellicet White from Star Trek. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. The anyways, that's a deep cut right there. But one of the drugs that they use is Frenzon, which is the same drug employed by Eversor assassins. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think it's called Frenzon because it's the root word is frenzy.
Yeah, not friends.
Yeah, not like hearts and farts friends. Yeah. The best a penal legionnaire can hope for is to survive, and not because of cowardice, obviously.
Yeah,
and be noticed by an inquisitor or precentor of penance. To an inquisitor, an elite penal legionnaire is a valuable resource. It's someone whose life is forfeit, but also whose skills are exemplary. Perfect combination.
Yeah.
A precentor of penance is a holy leader, and I believe this is a character type that comes from the role-playing games from the old role-playing games.
Yeah.
They're a holy leader who gathers those truly penitent to their side. So penal legionnaires who are actually penitent, not paying lip service.
Right.
And although they can't grant the legionnaires freedom from the law, like there's no way they're ever going to be able to re-enter Imperial society normally. Mm-hmm. They can grant spiritual absolution, which actual faithful people actually care about. And they'll do anything to be absolved in the eyes of the Imperium or of the Emperor himself. So you got to remember, a lot of people out there, even criminals, are still very, very much, it's been ingrained in them their entire lives that the Emperor is real and he can make or break your afterlife. You can either sit by his side or be devoured by chaos. And are they wrong, really? Like, not real. They're kind of right.
Yeah.
Kind of not wrong in that aspect or in that respect. Like we've seen that like in the Psychic Awakening, like these spirits of fallen Imperial citizens come back to assist their living counterparts. Like I feel like there's actually nothing wrong with believing that you can be absolved and still fight for the Emperor.
Yeah.
Beyond the veil. Really. So that's, I think that's it for, repentance in the lore. I think it's an important subject. I never thought that we would do a social concept like as a show topic, but it actually works in this context because there are units that you can point to and scenarios and stuff like that. It's deeply ingrained in the lore and what's going on with the at least with the Ministorum. Do you need to build some Penitent Engines, Jason? You really should.
I like them. I've got the one that came out of the box set, and I think they look fun. They look really kind of terrifying too. So, and the rules are kind of, I am more of a narrative player, but I can look at rules and go, "Ooh, this could be fun." It's one of those things I have to fight with myself. It's like, look, you're not there to, be whatever. But yeah, I
think they might be fun in Zone Mortalis.
Oh, they'd be incredibly fun because you wouldn't have any sort of run up to take them out, and they can just show up and give you literally all the hugs. Yeah.
We're gonna talk about using these on your tabletop in the next episode.
Cool.
And I have some thoughts on narrative scenario, so I'm gonna hopefully get a game in with that next week with someone. I might have to use Killicans for
That's fine. It's about the same size.
Yeah, I'll have to proxy, but that's okay. It's play testing, and I won't take pictures or anything. But I really think if I had a Sisters Army, I would want one of those. Sweet mortifiers.
Yeah, I had
the
not
anchorite.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so nasty. And there are some Sisters of Battle groups who favor that kind of unit. That are really into punishment as a concept. I forget which one, but there are some, and it might be good for a custom order. Like a minor Ordo Minoris, I think they call it.
Yeah.
So like maybe you have some like who are all about slapping your hand with the ruler, except with giant death machines that make you feel pain for all of eternity. All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break and close out the show.
Hey Archons, tired of the boring predictability and efficiency of stuff that always works? You need the Slith Party Bus! Got an extra 473 points that you can't find a solid use for? You need the Slith Party Bus! You could spend 420 points on 3 reliable Lance Ravagers pumping out 9 Dark Lance shots per turn. That'll only give up 3 victory points, or you can drop 473 points on 2 Archons, 8 Slith, and a Raider for 11 victory points. You need the Slith Party Bus! The classic Slith Party Bus. Still awesome. Party Bus! Still hilarious. Party Bus! It's the Slith Party Bus! If you love the Slith Party Bus, you'll want to check out our other exciting products. We have the Rack Wiffle Ball Bat, the Trueborn, and the Blood Bride. Trueborn and Blood Bride models no longer available. The classic Slith Party Bus, still awesome, still hilarious. It's the Slith Party Bus!
Hello everyone. The Masters of the Forge is now a proud member of the NPC, the Narrative Podcast Consortium. Our aim is to inspire your hobby through the rich lore of the 41st millennium. If you enjoy our podcast, then make sure to check out these other awesome shows, where you can get coverage on campaigns, Black Library, and all kinds of general topics of the 40k background.
The NGC 40k podcast also provides in-depth campaign coverage, audio dramas, and free-flowing narrative campaign creation.
The Adeptus Terra podcast also features in-depth discussions of the lore and commentary on the hobby.
Oh, and sexy English voices.
Oh, yeah.
The Masters of the Forge brings the world of 40k to life on your tabletop, with discussion on the lore, backed up by narrative-themed rules and battle reports.
Of course, this is only a fraction of the topics covered by the podcasts of the NPC. Please tune in to find out more.
This is Rob Sanders, and you're listening to the Masters of the Forge, where the world of 40k comes to life on your tabletop.
Welcome back, and by welcome back, I mean goodbye. Jason, it's been lovely chatting with you again.
Oh yeah,
this was a great episode. I think.
Yes.
I'm gonna pat ourselves on the back.
Hold on. Okay, I got mine. All right.
Oh, you got your teledildonics running on your back instead? That's nice.
Sure, man. I'm not even not Googling that. Do not Google that.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it. Next episode is going to be Repentance on your tabletop, where we're going to talk about the units involved with this concept and also have some custom rules. I actually think I'm going to try my hand at doing some rules for the seraphs
yeah.
to use in your games, and you could even use them for your ordo or your ordo temporal guys. What are they called? Or the
Ordo Chronos.
Ordo Chronos. Yeah. They should have a seraph in their army. That would be super sweet.
Yeah.
But until then,
play the game the way you want to.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.